Yeah, and I'm going to refer to this as the MSSE. So that's what we call it. Just a little bit easier. A little bit easier. We love abbreviations here in the School of Ed. So just wanted to make that clear from the beginning. So yeah, welcome everybody. And today I'm going to be going over both the MSSE, but I'm also going over the Great Dane Teacher Pathway. That is an option that is specific to UAlbany students, but it is something that I do like to cover in our session on the MSSE. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about becoming a teacher in New York State. I think it's important to have at least a foundational understanding of teacher certification in New York to understand how our program operates. So in New York State, you need both initial and professional teacher certification in order to continue teaching in your career. You first earn initial certification. That's sort of an entry-level certification, which you can earn at either the undergraduate or graduate level. Sorry, someone was just asking. When I say Master of Science, that's just the type of master's degree. So sometimes there's a Master of Arts, that's an MA. Ours is considered a Master of Science because we base a lot of our coursework in research and in science. So this is the Master of Science in secondary education. And we certify in secondary education in multiple content areas. So English, Spanish, chemistry, biology, mathematics, social studies, earth science. So I'll be actually talking about all of those today. Back to the teacher certification, right? So we have initial certification, that's the entry level cert that can be earned at either the undergraduate or the graduate level. So if you are local and you think about other SUNY schools, maybe like Oneonta, or even a private school like St. Rose, they do offer undergraduate programs that lead to teacher certification. At UAlbany, our programs that lead to teacher certification are offered at the master's level or the graduate level. There's a couple of reasons why we do this, and that is one of them is for students who earn initial certification at the undergraduate level, they are then required to earn a master's degree. So a lot of students who pursue that path start working after their undergrad because they are certified, but they have to earn a master's degree. And so they are teaching during the day and sort of finding their footing as a brand new teacher, and then at night going to class and trying to earn their master's degree. With the way that our program is structured, our students earn their certification at the master's level, and they also earn the master's that they need. And then they're able to start teaching directly after, and they don't have to worry about earning any additional education. They're able to just teach. I'm talking about a master's degree, and the reason that that's necessary is in order to earn professional certification in New York State, you have to have a master's degree. Otherwise, your initial certification will expire and you will no longer be able to teach. So the professional certification requires both a master's degree and 3 years of paid full-time teaching experience. So students who earn their initial certification at the undergraduate level they may be starting to get that 3 years of experience, but they're also earning that master's degree because they have to in order to earn professional certification. For our students, they earn initial certification at the master's level. They have the master's that they need. They can just go on and teach. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. So a little bit about teaching right now. The job outlook for teachers is looking very good, especially in New York State. We expect a lot of growth in New York State in the need for teachers through the next 7 years, both at the elementary level and the secondary level. And we are currently in what's considered a teacher shortage. So there are a lot of teachers who are retiring in the next couple of years or projected to retire. And there will be a huge need, as there is right now, for teachers at all levels and in all subject areas. All areas are needed at this time, but these were the ones that were identified by New York State as being especially in need. And so you might see some of your content areas in here. And even if you don't, just know a lot of our graduates, even if they don't fall in these areas, are getting scooped up. They are getting job offers before they even complete their programs. So it's a good time to enter the field considering the job outlook. So an overview of the MSSE, it is an opportunity for those who do not already hold New York State teaching certification. It is a program that is most typically completed full-time, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And it, like I said, it leads to initial certification and the master's degree needed for professional certification to teach a secondary subject area for grades 7 through 12. There are specific admission requirements for the program based on the content area that you are pursuing. And when I say content area, I just mean which subject you'd like to teach at the secondary level. Some of them, like English, require either 36 credits or a major in English. But there are other content areas that have a little bit more of a varied prerequisite requirements, like social studies, for example. Social studies will require that you have a course in economics, a course in political science, a course in geography, and sometimes those courses are not part of a major. So to know about the prerequisite requirements for each subject area is helpful because you can maybe integrate some of those courses into your studies if you haven't already graduated. Now, if you're saying, oh my gosh, I've already graduated and I don't think I have the prerequisites, that's okay too. You can still apply for the program, but just know, like, if you are missing one of those prerequisites, so let's say you're pursuing social studies and you've never taken an economics course, that is required for New York State certification. So you can be accepted into our program, but you will have to take the economics course sometime during your time in the MSSE in order to become certified. You just fit it somewhere in your studies. So that's all is not lost if you don't have all of the prerequisites needed. These are the different content areas that we certify in at UAlbany. So there's biology, chemistry, earth science, English, French, mathematics, physics, social studies, and Spanish. And if you are concerned or questioning about the prerequisites for your content area, you can reach out to me. I will put my email in the chat at the end of the session, and you can reach out and we can talk and make sure you're right where you need to be. The MSSE coursework consists of 12 credits in the foundations of education, 3 credits in technology and media in the classroom, 3 literacy credits, 6 credits in your content area. So 6 credits of graduate level history or 6 credits of graduate level mathematics. And then 18 credits of methods and field experiences. So that is teaching methods for middle and high school Spanish, or that might include your student teaching or your observation. So that's where the rest of those credits fall. What is the Great Dane Teacher Pathway? So this is something that I mentioned at the beginning of the session that I was going to be covering. So the Great Dane Teacher Pathway is a combined bachelor's master's program that is available to current UAlbany undergraduate students that allows you to pursue accelerated admission to one of our approved teacher preparation pathways programs, just like the MSSE. It's not something you enter as a freshman. So sometimes students will arrive here and be like, am I part of the Great Dane Teacher Pathway? It's not necessarily something that you enter, but rather steps that you take during your time at UAlbany. Through this pathway, you apply to the master's program in your junior year. And you're able to start, if you're accepted, you're able to start taking graduate level courses during your senior year. You can take up to 12 credits of graduate coursework in your senior year, and those 12 credits can double count both toward your major, toward your undergraduate degree and toward the master's in secondary education. You still earn teacher certification at the completion of your master's, but there's a lot of benefits to pursuing a combined pathway. One being that you save money and reduce the course load once you enter the graduate program. So you save money in the sense that the 12 credits of graduate coursework that you complete at the undergraduate level, you pay undergraduate tuition for those 12 credits. Whereas graduate courses are technically more expensive than undergraduate courses. So you're paying a lower price for those 12 credits. Further, when you start the graduate program, if you've already completed 12 credits, Instead of having to complete 42 credits, once you start the master's program full-time, you only have 30 credits to complete. So you will have a lighter course load throughout. It doesn't lead you to graduation faster. You still graduate at the same time as the other students in your cohort, but at some points they may be taking 9 or 12 credits and you would be taking 6 or 9, or you may be able to take a summer off. It helps to ease the transition to graduate school. So if you start integrating graduate coursework into your senior year, you learn a little bit about what graduate coursework looks like without being a full-fledged graduate student just yet. And it sort of allows you to slowly go into that transition to graduate school. So then when you do start the program full time, you might feel a little bit more at ease about starting grad school. It provides early assurance that you have plans for graduate school. So you're applying as a junior and, maybe by the end of your junior year, you already know that you're accepted to graduate school. You receive support both from your undergraduate advisor and the School of Education. So you have that two layers of support as you're sort of navigating a combined program. And then for the Great Dane Teacher Pathway, you graduate with all of the educational requirements that you need for teacher certification. So like I said, the Great Dane Teacher Pathway is available to UAlbany students and only if they fall within these particular majors. So these are the majors that are currently approved to apply to the Great Dane Teacher Pathway. And the program, like I said, leads to certification to teach grades 7 to 12 in your content area, apply in your junior year, begin integrating courses in your senior year, receive dual advisement, and like I said, you're able to lighten your course load and potentially take summers off. Frequently asked questions about the MSSE. How long does the program typically take? The program typically lasts about 16 to 18 months, beginning in either the summer or the fall. So note that we don't have a spring start for this program. It typically includes 5 continuous semesters, including summers, with the last semester always being in the fall semester, focused on student teaching. So students in their final semester, student teaching is the only thing that they're doing in that final semester, and they would graduate in December. That is the typical way that students move through the program. Can I complete the program part-time? The program is designed to be completed full-time. It could be possible to complete some of the coursework requirements that are required in the beginning of the program part-time. But keep in mind that certain courses are only offered during certain semesters, which can make part-time study difficult when not following the full-time course plan because some of them are prerequisites to another course, and the prerequisite may not be offered again until the following fall or something like that. If you are planning to do some of the coursework part-time, you should let your advisor know that right off the bat so that you can create a plan that gets you to graduation without adding too much time.
Hi, Alyssa. Can I jump in here for a sec?
Sure.
Yeah, that's a great question. Hi, everybody. I'm Brett Levy. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. I'm the director of the program, and I am the advisor for social studies, future teachers. And welcome all. Yeah, it's great that you're here. It's great that you're interested in joining this awesome profession of teaching. And to this question, I just wanted to add that usually, as Alyssa said, the program it's designed to be 16 to 18 months. And if you delay your student teaching at all, usually it bumps things like a whole year. So when students do it part-time, or if they decide to take a semester off, we only offer, there's part-time student teaching in the spring and full-time student teaching in the fall. So if you need to skip either one of those, you have to wait a whole additional year. So I've had students that finish in 2.5 years, but most students finish in 1.5. So those are usually the two options. If you wanted to do it more slowly, it usually just bumps it forward for 1 year, and that's fine. And you might miss graduating with some of the people that you started with, but it ends up being a-okay. And if you need to work a few extra hours during a semester to save money or whatever you need to do during that time.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I heard you mention something about like night classes. I work at night, so I was just wondering if that's I'm just wondering if I'm gonna have to like quit my job.
So this is one of the subsequent slides that I've just flipped ahead to. So I'll talk a little bit about this and I'll answer your question in it as I'm doing that. So,
All right, thank you.
how and when our course is offered. I just want to be clear that this is not a fully online program. There will be some in-person courses, depending on the semester and the course instructor. Some courses may definitely be offered online. There's a high chance you're going to take some online courses. Many courses that are either in person or are synchronous online are offered in the early evenings. And that is simply to accommodate students that are spending some of their time in the classroom. You may have a different schedule for your 100 hours of observation or your part-time student teaching than some of your classmates. And so I think that is the reasoning behind those early evening class times. And Dr. Levy, you can correct me if I'm wrong there. But I've also included here a sample course sequence so that you can have a good understanding of what the time in the program looked like. So I know I talked about 5 subsequent semesters. If you're starting in the summer, it's a lot of students start with 2 courses or 6 credits in their first summer. In the first fall semester, you're usually taking 12 credits, which includes 100 hours of pre-practicum where you spend time in a classroom. In the first spring semester, you are taking another 12 credits, which includes 6 credits of student teaching. In the following summer, you may take 1 course typically, although I will say with the summer classes, it's possible. So like if you start in the fall, you may be taking all 9 of the summer credits at the same time. You might take 6 credits in the first summer and 3 in the second, 3 in the first and 6 in the second. That's kind of flexible there. And then in the last fall semester, everyone has 9 credits of full-time student teaching. But Arlo, to answer your question, a lot of the courses are offered in the early evenings. It wouldn't necessarily be every single day in the evening, but that is a very common and typical course. And so I'm 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock is a very typical, or 4:30 to 7:20 or something, right? That's a typical course time, Dr. Levy.
That's right. Yeah. That is typical. In the first fall, usually there are 2 courses, one on a Monday and one on a Tuesday, that have the 4:30 to 7:20 slot. However, they do not meet every week. Usually my class, for example, does not meet live every week. We have some weeks where there are other kinds of activities, online activities. So, it might be the kind of thing, Arlo, where you just have to, map out your schedule when you get the syllabi, and okay, the Monday class, ETAP 512, is meeting on weeks, 1, 3, 5, 8, 12, something like that. And you ask for, to start your job, at 8 o'clock that night if you can. And then, 6:52 meets on weeks, whatever those 6 or 8 weeks are. And, that is an issue, but like Alyssa said, it's not every night, and it might not even be every week. That is the time slot that has been developed in order to allow students flexibility during the day to go to schools, because that's a high priority, getting experience in schools during fall 1, spring 1, and then obviously fall 2 when you do full-time student teaching, which is really like a full-time job.
All right, thank you. That answers the question.
Okay, great.
I think I mentioned this a little earlier maybe, but what if I don't have all of the necessary prerequisite credits for my content area? So I talked a little bit about how some content areas require that you have a major in your content area, but others have some additional requirements. And so we do recommend that students take the additional coursework as they prepare for the application process, if they're able. So like if you find that you're missing certain prerequisites, you may be able to take some this summer, for example. But students can apply with a 9 credit deficiency in the prerequisite courses, but just know that you would need to complete those courses during your time in the MSSE. So that would be in addition to the coursework required for the MSSE. You might be adding in an economics course at some point, because those are New York State Education Department requirements. And so that's how we sort of handle the prerequisites. We don't typically conduct transcript reviews prior to enrollment, but we can provide guidance. So if you're really unsure, we should be able to help you with that, to figure out your kind of prerequisite situation. In what ways can I fund my graduate studies? So there are university-wide scholarships offered to graduate students. Further, there are School of Education specific graduate scholarships. So what's really great about that is it's a much smaller pool, right? You're not applying against the entire university, you're applying against the School of Ed, which is a smaller pool. And also there are multiple scholarships offered through the School of Ed, and some of them are specific to people who are pursuing teaching and that type of thing. But for specific questions about tuition, fees, aid, payment plans, anything like that, I do always refer students to financial aid / student accounts. And that's just because it's their area of expertise. So I don't like to give a lot of advice there, because it's just not my area. We're such a large university that I let them handle it. That's their area. My area is the program itself. So I would definitely reach out to them if you're curious about funding your graduate studies. Some information for applicants. The application requires transcripts from all the schools you've attended, 3 letters of recommendation with at least 2 from professors, a 3.0 GPA or higher, but a 3.2 GPA at least for students applying to a combined program, a statement of background and goals, and of course the courses, the prerequisite courses that I mentioned for each content area. The deadlines to begin in either the fall or the summer. The first deadline has passed, but the other one is upcoming on March 1st. And after you apply, you would be contacted for an interview if the committee wishes to pursue your application further. So let's go through each of those application requirements one by one. The first is transcripts. If you had previously attended the University at Albany, or if you are a current student here right now, you do not need to request a UAlbany transcript. If you are a student who transferred here and UAlbany already has all of your transcripts from your previous institutions, you would not need to request those again. But we do need transcripts from every institution where you've taken courses at the post-secondary level. The GPA from all institutions is considered. So we're looking at your GPA from each place where you've taken college level courses. Some students have even taken graduate level courses already, and that is considered as part of the holistic review of your application, along with your undergraduate degree, obviously. You can upload an unofficial transcript to your online application portal from other institutions, although an official transcript will be required upon admission. Transcripts can either be mailed to the graduate school at UAlbany or emailed to them from the institution. And there is some great information on exactly where and how to send transcripts to UAlbany right on the graduate school's website. Your letters of recommendation. These are submitted directly through the online application portal. So you sign into the online application portal and you list contact information for each of your recommenders, and then they will receive an email prompting them to submit their letter. We recommend letters of recommendation be specific to the program that you are applying to whenever possible. And the reason that we are requesting letters of recommendation from professors is to speak to your academic capability and potential to be successful in a graduate program. If you have been out of school for a prolonged period of time, we absolutely understand this happens all the time for students who are returning to graduate school after a time away from school. Professional references are acceptable, but it could be great if your recommenders can still speak to the characteristics and skills that you possess that would make you a successful graduate student and or highlight your academic potential. Now, if you are someone who is currently still an undergraduate student or a very recent graduate, I would caution against using only professional references. It may cause the admissions committee to pause and question, well, you know, they are very recently in school, so why are they unable to get recommendations from their professors? And that might be like sort of a something that draws attention. Give your recommenders plenty of notice, as well as a hard deadline ahead of the application due date. And that is just an informal tip, because I find when students ask me for a letter of recommendation, it is always helpful to know exactly when they need it by. But as a student who has needed letters of recommendation, I always like to have them in a little bit ahead of the deadline so that I'm not, crossing my fingers and hoping that my recommenders are submitting it on the day that the application is due.
Hi, let me just chime in. One of the
Yeah.
reasons we wanted to have, thank you. One of the reasons we wanted to have this session today, February 7th, is because our next application deadline is March 1st. Is that right, Alyssa?
That's correct.
Yeah. So if you are really interested, and even if you're not 100% sure, it doesn't hurt to ask for a letter of recommendation. It doesn't hurt to get that train rolling so that if you think about it, you say you need to think about it for a week, do I really want to become a teacher? You don't want to wait until, February 13th or, the 16th and say, can you do this, in the next 10 days, to a busy faculty member who might have a lot of things on their plate. So I recommend just making that ask, 3 or 4 sentence email, I took your class on such and such, I really enjoyed it. I'm very interested in becoming a teacher. Here's why. I'd be glad to talk to you about it. Here's my CV. You might want to give them like your resume. If you have something, you're going to be doing that for the application anyway. If you don't have that ready, that's fine. You can always give it to them in like a week. You could say, I'll send you more information about my background in a few days, but you want to get on their calendars. Because I have had many applications that have been incomplete without that letter. It doesn't mean I won't review it at all, but I really want to see at least one academic letter for my applicants. So I recommend asking for that as soon as you can.
Dr. Levy, for students who applied for the December 31st deadline, when would they expect to hear?
They should hear very soon. Actually, that the decisions have already been entered into the system. So it should have happened, but if it hasn't happened, it will happen this week.
I also encourage students who might have applied already to check their junk or their spam. We had a couple of students where their invitation to an interview went to their junk or their spam last year, and we were able to still connect with them eventually, but it was only because they reached out and they said like, oh, I haven't heard yet, and we were able to find out that like, yes, we had offered you an interview and there was some wires crossed there. So definitely check everywhere for
I'm sorry about those system problems. I will just put my email address right in the chat, and if you are waiting on a decision, please let me know, because we don't want that to happen. Okay. So let me know and I will get on it for you personally. I'm on it. I'm on that task as a group, but if one of you needs a specific answer, I'll look into it for you.
Onto the statement of goals. For us, a statement of goals helps us to determine your fit for the program, what you can offer our program, and it also allows us to evaluate your writing skills. But for you, it allows you to talk about yourself, to highlight your background, the skills, and what you hope to get out of the program, and why particularly did you choose our program? What about our program drew you to us? So it allows you to just sort of talk about yourself and really make a case for yourself to be accepted. It should be purposeful and to the point. I always encourage students to do research on the program that you're applying to. So read about it, read about, the structure, the philosophy, attend an info session. There are also many helpful online resources that help you to understand what goes into a statement of goals and how to write a strong statement of goals. And I'll also say, your previous institution's Career Center may also be a great resource, even if you're an alumni. I know that UAlbany's Career and Professional Development Center has great resources for students applying to graduate school and will help you through that process. Why choose UAlbany? Oh, go ahead.
Could I say something in there? Sorry.
Yeah.
Back to the systems thing. If you haven't heard, I'll just say we are transitioning to a more digital, like a more streamlined system. So that's why there might be glitches and you might not have heard. So we do have our stuff together, but we are in this like transition to a new system and getting some of the screws tightened up. So, but with regard to your essays, I think what we really like to see is not only your passion for your subject, but like, why do you want to work with kids? You know, and if you have experience working with young people, you know, what can you say about that? What draws you into that? Um, a lot of you are finishing college, or you recently finished college, you loved your subject area, you're passionate about it, and that's awesome. You want to share that with the next generation. And we'd also like to know why young people? Why do you want to why do you enjoy that experience? And you know, we don't need a ton. It doesn't need to be like a master's thesis or anything. You know, it's just a statement. Try to be concise and let us understand your perspectives and why you want to be part of our program.
Thank you. So why choose UAlbany for your program, right? And Dr. Levy, when I'm finished with these slides, maybe you can talk a little bit more about like why specifically the MSSE, because you are so like intimately involved with the program. But we have some amazing programs here in the School of Ed. We are ranked among the top 5 schools of education in New York State, and ranked among the top 5 online education programs in the entire country. And the reason I mention that, I know this is not a fully online program, but there is a high chance that you're going to be taking some online courses, and just know that our online courses are the best of the best, and we offer lots of great support. And we've been in the online education game for decades now. So we've been offering online classes for longer than a lot of other institutions. It's an excellent value tuition wise and a wonderful investment in your future. UAlbany actually started out as a college for teachers. That was how this university started. So there's a legacy of contributing to the field of education, and how rooted we are in teaching teachers and educators and contributing back to the field. At the graduate level, small class sizes. So you might be thinking like, UAlbany, that's a huge university. Absolutely it is. But at the graduate level, and particularly in this program, you are working in very small class sizes and developing close connections to your faculty. There's great support throughout your time in this program. So there are advisors to guide you through the program and provide career development and advice. Support through your practicum and student teaching. Just know you are never responsible for finding your own placement for your practicum or student teaching. We do that for you with your interests and goals considered. So if there is a particular type of classroom or school that you see yourself in, we're going to work to try to get you where you want to be. Know that New York State Education Department has some pretty strict guidelines for those student teaching experiences. So for example, some of your experience has to be in an urban school, some in a rural school, some hours in a middle school, some in a high school, some with special needs students. So like, there are certainly stipulations that we have to fall under, but our director of placement within this program is going to talk to you and get to know you and your needs. There are also faculty and staff within this program with working relationships with schools and community partners. We have school districts reach out to us all the time, letting us know we have a position open for a Spanish teacher. We have a position open for an English teacher. And so we have these strong relationships that and a really great reputation for the teachers that we've put out there, which is why they keep coming back to ask for more of our teachers. And Dr. Levy, did you have anything to add about why UAlbany?
It's a good program. You know, we've been reforming it, revising it, trying to keep it up to date with what's going on in schools. You know, there's a lot that's going on in schools right now. Schools just went through the pandemic and they're just coming out of it. And we've all learned a lot from that in life. You know, look what we're doing right now. We're meeting on Zoom. Everybody knows how to meet on Zoom now. And students are increasingly employing, you know, the wonders of technology, although they don't always like it. And so we need to, as we know, we need to strike a balance between, you know, living within our increasingly digital world and, you know, living in the way that, you know, humans have lived for, you know, millennia and longer. So that's something that schools are grappling with right now, you know, the extent to which to integrate technology, how to prepare students for dealing with technology. And we actually are, you know, as Alyssa said, you know, we're actually number 4 in online grad schools of education. So we are pretty skilled at doing that. And so we are helping to navigate, helping K-12 schools navigate that as well. So that's one way that we're keeping up with practice. And we're also just in touch with schools in the area to find out how, what's happening there and how we can shape our program around their needs. And there are a lot of new people learning English right now. So how do we meet the needs of English language learners? How do we meet the needs of students from diverse backgrounds? How do we meet the needs of students who are experiencing homelessness? How do we prepare students for whatever our teacher education students, how do we prepare them for the variety of schools that they might end up with, and whether it's urban schools, rural schools, or suburban schools? We're trying to prepare our students for all of those experiences and the literacy demands that might come from different types of content, and the like. So it's really a lot that we're trying to do in a short period of time. So it's a pretty rigorous program, but we want you to, and there are a lot of experiences in the field that will enable you to come out at the end ready for what you're going to see and what you'll experience as an educator.
Thank you. Here are just a couple of places where you can find some more information. So many of you may have already explored our program page, the MSSE program page here. This talks a lot about our program and lets you know a little bit more about it. There's lots of great information. There's also information on the prerequisites for the different content areas, which you can click on each and learn a little bit more. There's information down here on the deadlines and application requirements. And then if you scroll up here and click on Graduate Bulletin, this gives, again, admission requirements and the prerequisites for each content area, but it also provides information on the coursework that you'll be taking. So if you want to know, well, what classes will I be taking? This is where you can find a list of all of the required courses. So that's the grad bulletin that's linked right here. And then also a great place to find information is the Pie Center where I work. That's me. And that's me with some pie. So if you are on the UAlbany campus, we will be serving pie again in March near Pie Day, because Pie Day is during your break. Our office provides information to prospective students, current students, alumni on graduate programs, undergraduate programs, teacher certification. We're sort of a one-stop shop for the School of Ed. And if we can't help you, we're going to find the person that can. And we offer virtual office hours Monday through Friday. So you can pop in on Zoom during our scheduled office hours if you have a question. We are very quick to answer our email. But I think I also mentioned that I am going to put my email in the chat. Because if you have any specific questions for anything that I've mentioned today, might as well just connect with me, because I know everything I talked about today. So that is the end of my presentation, and I'm going to open it up for questions, which you are more than welcome to shout out or enter in the chat.
I just had a quick question for Professor Levy. I tried to send you an email, but it didn't seem to go through. I am one of those people who's been waiting on a decision for like 2 weeks. For the
yes,
yeah, I had the interview, and
I know, Arlo. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember speaking to you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that decision has been made. So you should definitely get something official in your box. I think